There is a place on Earth so dry that scientists use it to test Mars rovers. Nothing has grown here in 2 million years. This is Antarctica's McMurdo Dry Valleys, a place that makes the Sahara look like a rainforest. They cover about 4,800 square kilometers of land, and they are the largest ice-free region on the entire continent. But here's what makes them genuinely strange. It's not just dry, it's cold, and dry, and windy, all three at once. Most deserts are just hot. Antarctica's valleys hit you with winds that can reach 320 kilometers per hour, katabatic winds that scour everything off the rock. Those winds are what make it a desert. They evaporate every trace of moisture before it can ever settle. In some parts of the valleys, scientists estimate there has been no meaningful precipitation for 2 million years. To put that in scale, when the last rain fell here, human beings didn't exist yet. So, how does a continent famous for its ice produce a desert? The answer lies in the mountains that surround the valleys on three sides. Those mountains act like a wall, blocking the moist air coming from the coast. Meanwhile, the katabatic winds rush down from the polar plateau, and they're so fast they evaporate any moisture the moment it appears. The result is a place with less available moisture than the surface of Mars, which is exactly why NASA chose this place to test the Mars rovers before sending them to the actual planet. If something can survive the dry valleys, the thinking goes, it might survive Mars. And it turns out, a few things can. Scientists have found microbial life in the rocks themselves. Not on the rocks, not under the rocks, inside them, surviving in the paper-thin layer where light can just barely penetrate. These are called endolithic organisms, and the reason they live inside translucent quartz isn't accident. It's engineering. The quartz acts like a greenhouse, letting just enough light through for photosynthesis, while blocking the ultraviolet radiation that would otherwise kill everything. The rock itself is the shelter. The rock is the atmosphere, which means life here didn't just survive the worst conditions on Earth, it redesigned what survival means. But here's where it gets stranger. When researchers started drilling into the valley floor, not the rocks, the actual ground, they found something that shouldn't exist at all: liquid water. Right here, in the most dehydrated landscape on Earth. Underneath the frozen surface, there are liquid brine channels. Veins of water so salty they refuse to freeze, even at minus 20 degrees Celsius. Salt. It's the reason blood falls bleeds. It's the reason there's liquid water under a frozen desert. And it might be the reason life survived here when everything else on Earth died. Scientists call these environments cryoconite holes and hypersaline brine pools, and both of them contain active, metabolizing life. Not fossils, not remnants, living organisms, right now, doing what life does. Think about what that means. The harshest desert on Earth isn't really lifeless. It just hides its life in places no one thought to look until 40 years ago. Which raises the obvious question, what else have we been wrong about? Now, let's talk about the lake, buried beneath Taylor Glacier, the same glacier that produces blood falls. There's a body of water called Lake Bonny. It has been sealed from the atmosphere for somewhere between 1 and 2 million years. No light, no oxygen from the surface, no nutrients falling in from above. And yet, it supports a complete microbial ecosystem, bacteria, archaea, ancient lineages of life that have been evolving in total isolation from everything else on Earth for longer than the human species has existed. When researchers drilled through the ice to sample it, they expected to find almost nothing. What they found instead sent papers to journals around the world. The organisms in Lake Bonny weren't just alive, they were adapted, specialized, running their entire metabolism on sulfur compounds, iron, and faint chemical gradients in the water. Not sunlight, not oxygen, not anything that biology said life was supposed to need. We had assumed for decades that life required sunlight as its ultimate energy source, directly or indirectly. Lake Bonny proved that assumption wrong. And this is the detail that NASA can't stop thinking about, because Europa, Jupiter's moon, has an ocean, a real global ocean of liquid water, sealed under an ice shell that may be 15 to 25 kilometers thick. No sunlight reaches it, no oxygen, no familiar chemistry, but if you've seen Lake Bonny, you've seen a preview. The same total isolation from a surface that would kill everything that touched it. And Europa isn't alone. Saturn's moon Enceladus has geysers of liquid water shooting from its southern pole, carrying hydrogen, carbon dioxide, and methane directly into space. The dry valleys didn't just teach us that life is resilient. They gave us the chemical vocabulary to read the outer solar system. There's one more thing. The driest place on Earth isn't a dead end. It's a map to every frozen moon, every dry red planet, every dark and cold and seemingly impossible corner of the universe. Every time we assumed a place was too extreme for life, life proved us wrong. The deep ocean trenches, the hydrothermal vents, the Antarctic rock. Every time we drew the boundary of what's possible, life crossed it. So here's the question I want you to sit with. If the universe is full of dead, dry, frozen places, and we know life found a way in every extreme environment we've ever looked at, what does that say about everything out there that we haven't looked at yet? Drop your answer below. I read everyone.